Welcome back to the channel, everyone. If you love captivating stories about men transforming into women in unique and fascinating ways, then be sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Now, let's jump right into today's tale.
4 months since operation, Help Craig had spectacularly backfired, transforming Hannah into what her mother gleefully called a walking testament to Craig's excellent taste. Hannah sat at her vanity, studying her reflection, still a bit surreal, seeing those big green eyes and delicate features staring back at her instead of Handel's familiar face. Her phone buzzed with a text from Craig. "Craig, you'll never believe what just happened. Hannah, let me guess. Another old photo of us popped up. Craig, your mum's spell is getting creative. Apparently, we went to prom together. Hannah? Oh God. Please tell me I wasn't wearing pink. Craig sends photo. Oh. Hannah, that never happened. Craig, according to Facebook, it did. You were voted cutest couple. Hannah, I'm going to kill my mother." Hannah stared at the photo. There she was, tiny and blonde in a midnight blue dress, looking up at Craig with an expression that made her current body temperature spike several degrees. Craig was in a tux, his arm around her waist, looking at her like he often looked at her now, actually. "Subtle, Mum," she muttered. "Real subtle." Her mother's memory spell had rewritten reality, with all the finesse of a romance novelist on a deadline. Every new memory seemed designed to highlight the chemistry between her and Craig, chemistry that was getting harder to ignore with each passing day. Her phone buzzed again. "Craig, you know what's weird? Hannah. The fact that magic rewrote reality, or the fact that you apparently took tiny blonde me to prom. Craig, I can actually remember that night now. The way you looked in that dress. Hannah, are you flirting with me, Craig Thompson?" "Craig? What? No, I mean, maybe? Is that weird? Hannah, considering you literally shaped this body with your subconscious desires, I'd say we're way past weird." She could practically see him blushing through the phone. 4 months in, and he still got flustered every time she mentioned the spell's effects. It was adorable, really. The pull her mother had warned her about hadn't faded. If anything, it had grown stronger. Every time Craig was near, her body went into overdrive. Heart racing, skin tingling, stomach doing Olympic-level gymnastics. At first she'd blamed the spell. But now, her phone buzzed with another memory notification. Ah no. This time it was a beach trip from 2 summers ago. Except instead of showing Handel in board shorts, it showed Hannah in a bikini that made current Hannah's eyes widen. "Oh, come on," she groaned, typing quickly. "Hannah, did you see the beach photos?" "Craig, maybe." "Hannah, your subconscious has a lot to answer for." "Craig, I didn't choose that bikini." "Hannah, no, but apparently your deepest desires did." "Craig, can we please not talk about my deepest desires?" "Hannah, why?" Getting flustered. "Craig, you're evil." "Hannah, no, I'm your perfect woman. There's photographic evidence now." "Craig, you're never going to let me live this down, are you?" "Hannah, not a chance, dream boy." The nickname had started as a joke, but like everything else between them lately, it had taken on a different meaning. Craig wasn't just her best friend anymore. He was the man who'd literally shaped her with his desires, whose every look made her body hum with awareness. Her mother's voice floated up from downstairs. "Hannah, dear, I found more old photos. You'll never guess what you and Craig were doing in this one." "Mom," Hannah shouted back. "Stop rewriting my history to include romantic moments with Craig." "But you two look so cute together in the hot tub." Hannah's head hit her vanity with a thunk. Before she could respond, Another message came through. Craig. Because if it is, I'm kind of okay with that. Oh, wow. Hannah breathed, her whole body warming at his words. She bit her lip, typing. Hannah, even though I used to be Handel. Craig. You're still you. Just prettier. Hannah. You admitted I'm pretty. Craig. I literally shaped you with my desires. Pretty sure that ship has sailed. Hannah. Look who's finally embracing it. Craig. Shut up. Hannah. Make me. Craig. What? Was that flirting? Hannah. What do you think, dream boy? Her mother's voice came again. I found your wedding planning scrapbook from when you were 16. We don't have one of those, Hannah shouted back. We do now, dear. Hannah groaned, but couldn't help smiling. Being Hannah really wasn't so bad, especially with Craig looking at her like that in every new old photo that mysteriously appeared. Her mother's spell might have rewritten history. But the future? That was still unwritten. Though if the way Craig was texting her lately was any indication, it might involve fewer old photos and more new ones. Real ones. Maybe even some that involved hot tubs. Her phone buzzed one last time. Craig. Movie at my place tonight. Hannah. Promise not to stare. Craig. Not even going to try. Hannah. Good answer, dream boy. Good answer. Hannah was painfully aware that movie night had changed since the incident, as she'd taken to calling her magical makeover. Before, they'd sprawl across the couch like two oversized cats, fighting over popcorn and making terrible commentary. Now there was this crackling awareness that made even reaching for the snacks feel like a choreographed dance of will they, won't they? This movie is ridiculous, Craig muttered, taking another sip of his beer. That explosion defied at least 12 laws of physics, says the man whose subconscious desires literally rewrote reality. Hannah quipped, tucking her feet under her and trying not to focus on how close his thigh was to hers. Craig nearly choked on his beer. Are you ever going to stop bringing that up? Are you ever going to stop pretending you're not staring at me? I wasn't. He cut himself off at her raised eyebrow. Okay, maybe I was, a little. Hannah took a deliberate sip of her wine, watching him over the rim of her glass. Just a little. You're doing this on purpose. Craig accused, his ears turning that telling shade of red. Doing what? She asked innocently, fully aware that the oversized sweater she'd borrowed from him was slipping off one shoulder. Craig's eyes tracked the movement before snapping back to her face. The thing. With the... He gestured vaguely at all of her. The thing where I exist in a body that you literally manifested through sheer force of desire. She grinned as he groaned. Because I have to say, dream boy, you have excellent taste. Can we please watch the movie? We could. Hannah agreed, shifting slightly so their shoulders brushed. Or we could talk about why you keep looking at me like you want to kiss me, but won't. Craig's whole body went still. I don't. You do. She turned to face him properly, ignoring the way her heart was trying to escape her chest. You look at me like that all the time. When you think I'm not paying attention. When we're having coffee. When I steal your sweaters. When I laugh at your terrible jokes. My jokes are great. He muttered weakly, still not looking at her. Craig. Hannah. He countered, finally meeting her gaze. The intensity in his blue eyes made her breath catch. Are we really going to keep dancing around this? She asked softly. Because I've got to tell you, mate. This tension is getting a bit ridiculous. It's complicated, he said, running a hand through his already messy hair. Is it? Because from where I'm sitting, which is really close to you, by the way, it seems pretty simple. You want me. I want you. The universe literally transformed me into your perfect woman. That's exactly why it's complicated, Craig burst out. You're my best friend who got magically turned into a smoking hot blonde who makes your brain short-circuit. You're not helping. I'm not trying to help, Hannah said, setting down her wine glass. I'm trying to get you to kiss me. Craig's eyes widened comically. What? Hannah turned to face him fully, her heart racing but her voice steady. Craig Thompson, are you ever gonna kiss me? Or am I going to have to cast another spell? Because I've got to warn you. The last one had some pretty unexpected results. Craig stared at her, his blue eyes dark and intense. The movie forgotten. The only sound in the apartment was their breathing, and the pounding of Hannah's heart. Hannah, he said, his voice rough. You can't just what? Point out the obvious? Because I've got 4 months of tension, several magically altered photo albums, and a body that you literally shaped with your deepest desires that say otherwise. His jaw tightened. You're really not going to let this go, are you? No. She popped the P deliberately. I figure if the universe went to all this trouble to make me your perfect woman, the least you could do is kiss me. Craig's eyes dropped to her lips, then back to her eyes. If I kiss you. When you kiss me, she corrected. When I. He swallowed hard. Everything will change. Hate to break it to you, dream boy, but everything already has. She leaned closer, close enough to feel his breath on her lips. The only question is, what are you going to do about it? Their eyes locked, and the world seemed to hold its breath. Craig, she said softly, one last push. Are you ever going to kiss me? His head snapped around, their eyes meeting with an intensity that made her whole body tingle. And just like that, the world stopped, hanging suspended in that moment of possibility. Craig stared at her like she'd just announced she was running for prime minister, dressed as a penguin. His mouth opened and closed several times, but no sound came out. Did I break you? Hannah asked, amused. Because I have to say, for someone whose subconscious literally created this body, you're looking awfully surprised right now. Still nothing. Just those wide blue eyes staring at her like she'd grown a second head. Right then, Hannah muttered. Time for Plan B. In one fluid motion that surprised even her. Apparently her new body came with upgraded coordination. She swung herself onto his lap. Craig made a sound like someone had just punched all the air out of his lungs. Hannah, he squeaked, his hands hovering near her waist like he was afraid to touch her. What are you? Taking matters into my own hands, she said, settling herself more comfortably. Since you seem to be temporarily malfunctioning. Craig's face was approximately the color of a fire engine. I'm not. This isn't. You can't just. Using a lot of incomplete sentences there, dream boy? She placed her hands on his shoulders, enjoying the way his breath hitched. Want to try that again with actual words? His hands twitched toward her waist, then pulled back. This is, if you say complicated one more time, I'm going to hex you, Hannah threatened, leaning closer. Now I'm going to make this very simple. If you want to kiss me, now's your chance. Craig's jaw clenched, his eyes darkening as they dropped to her lips. She could practically see the gears turning in his head, analyzing every possible outcome. You're thinking too much. She observed her fingers playing with the hair at the nape of his neck. Someone has to, he managed, though his voice was rougher than usual. Really? Because I thought we could try not thinking for once. She shifted slightly, making him draw in a sharp breath. Just feeling instead. Hannah, he warned, his hands finally settling on her waist. Craig. She mimicked his tone, raising an eyebrow. 10 seconds passed. 20. 30. Hannah sighed dramatically. Well, this has been fun. But clearly you need more time to overthink everything, so I'll just. She started to move away, but Craig's hands suddenly tightened on her waist, pulling her back. Oh no, you don't, he growled. And before she could make another quip about his hesitation, he was kissing her. Hannah melted into him with a satisfied hum, her fingers tangling in his hair as the kiss deepened. All the tension that had been building over the past months seemed to explode at once, turning the kiss into something hungry and desperate. Craig's hands slid up her back, pulling her closer as she shifted against him. The soft sound he made sent tingles racing down her spine, and she smiled against his lips. The TV droned on forgotten in the background as they lost themselves in each other. The rest of the world fading away until nothing existed except this moment. This kiss. This connection they'd been dancing around for months.